Hi guys, and happy Sunday. Welcome to another session of a live painting on a Sunday with me. I'm just gonna give you guys a few seconds to kind of trickle in and make sure I have everything set up, and then I'm gonna explain to you what we're doing today. In the meantime, how's everyone's Sunday going? I'm just gonna set this up, pull up my video on here so I can see your chat and actually chat with some of you. All right, okay, so I have my chat set up. And I'm just gonna ramble on for a little bit. I don't know if any of you got a chance to catch this week's tutorial. It was on creating a greeting card just by using some of the paintings that you do. So yeah, what I was trying to say is, yeah, did some basic watercolor florals and then cut it up and then created a card. And yeah, I think a lot of you have messaged me, I don't think, I know, and kind of related how this is something you already do. Some of you even create stickers using some of the items you have painted. So it's been nice to kind of get comments like that and interaction from you guys. Who's saying hi and what? Hi, Artie. My throat seems to be a little bit off today. Janet, hi. And hi, Shweta. Thank you so much for your kind comments. Oh, from India, so it's pretty late on your end. Oh, and we have Kyle Simpson with us. Hey, Kyle, how's it going? Where are you at, Kyle, right now? Okay, so, oh, Jill's here. Hey, Jill. Okay, so I'm just gonna let you guys know what we're doing today. So we'll keep in theme with what I did earlier this week, except instead of doing florals, I'm going to add another element which will be a touch more interesting. So we'll do the cutout bit and whatever, but I'm gonna try and keep things simple. For the colors this week, I am going to be using my Daniel Smiths this time, just to kind of change things around. I mean, I did invest a little bit of money in this, so I figured let's also use it for the live, just to see if some of you have it, you can join me in with it or not. Join in on it, I mean. So we'll be using the Hansa Yellow Light. We'll be using the new Gamboge, the Flado Blue, and finally the Quinacridone Rose, which is one of my favorites. I just want to double make sure. Sorry, it's not the Flado Blue, because that's like a teal. It's the ultramarine, the French ultramarine. So these are the 4 colors we'll be using. And I have my Canson sheet of paper ready. And then what else? For my brushes, I have okay, these are all my regular, you guys know. But it's my mop brush in the 1, the Silver Black Velvet in the 8, the 4, and then also the Princeton in the 8. So yeah, looking forward to doing this with you guys. Let me just read the comments really quickly before we get started. Hi, Mikey. Kyle, yes, you are in my living room downstairs. Thanks for the shout out and joining in. Shweta, that's so sweet. You stayed up to watch the painting live. I hope you're painting with us. And Jill, hey, yeah, super glad that you were able to make it, Jill. I know you're pretty busy Sundays. Julie, yes, Julie, isn't that really neat? I mean, I'm more of a let's just paint on it instead of cutting it out, but it actually gives you that nice little 3D lift. And someone had spoken about using the, instead of using glue to give it slightly more elevation, you use, what's it called? It's like little foam stickers, I think. I think it's like foam stickies, not quite sure. Lydia, welcome. How's it in Scarborough? Hi, Wishes. Yes, glad it sounds like you have Daniel Smith colors, so you'll be joining in. Hi, Zanette. Good morning or good afternoon on my end here. Okay, so I think I've said hi to everybody, and let's get started. So I want to introduce little grapefruit slices in my painting this week, or for Sunday rather. And for that, we will be using a combination of the New Gamboge and quinacridone rose. And what I essentially want to achieve is something like this. So it's got like a nice yellowy effect, kind of fading off into the pink, and it's like a really, really pretty soft color. And then for the greens in it, we'll be using a combination of the French ultramarine and the Hansa yellow light, and it gives you like this nice ethereal green that we have going on. So that's what we'll be doing. All right, so first things first, I will be using, actually before I even tell you which brushes I will be using, what I need to show you is, if you are doing the card alongside by me, just make sure that whatever you're painting isn't bigger than the space you have on the card. So for the sake of today, we can just be loose with it, but just keep that in mind before you start painting. So this is one important thing. You don't want to have something super big and then it doesn't fit. So we'll start off with using the Princeton 8 for me, and then I'll have the number 4 handy just in case I need it. And my first thing that I'm going to be doing is mixing some of the New Gamboge that I have right here. I know my palette is extremely messy, but I kind of like the colorful mess for some reason. So I'm going to get some water on my number 8, and I'm just going to get some of the New Gamboge orangey yellow from here, and I already have some of it on the side here, so I'm just going to mix that on the side, and we're going to go right into creating the shape. And this shape is going to be, again, like I said, it's going to be a citrus slice, and we're trying to mimic grapefruit, so it'll have a combination of the orange and the quinacridone rose. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if we want that nice blend of color, we need to make sure that the dampness is just right. So there's more water than color, and it's not too opaque. And then we need to make sure we have another brush handy. So I'll be keeping this brush handy to kind of dip into the pink so we get that nice blend right away before it dries on the sheet. All right, so I'm going to start off by doing the outer circle for this. This way I know exactly how many slices or little segments I can do on the inside, and it gives me some sort of start point, I guess. All right, so I'm gonna start. So I'm gonna do a very light circle. I have some of the yellow gamboge or the New Gamboge on here. So let's just do it on this side. I just want to make sure that you guys can see me. Perfect. Move these away. So it doesn't have to be a perfect circle. Just kind of try and do as best as you can. It doesn't have to be touching throughout. You can have little gaps in between. If your preference is to do a circle lightly with a pencil before you go in, absolutely, please do that. We're all not confident to get it not super perfect, but at least even mildly perfect. So if you're not confident, I would suggest doing the pencil first and then kind of going in and doing this. And I'm just going to leave gaps in between. And now the next thing I'm going to do is taking my number 4. I'm just going to go lightly along some of these edges, and with just water on it, I'm just kind of adding a little bit of thickness to it. And the other sides, I'm just going to leave them as is, but just adding a little bit of thickness. And I want it to be faded as opposed to straight edge like we have on the top. And in fact, you know what? On second thought, I'll add a little bit of water on these edges too. Because again, this is a loose style, but I don't want it to be very it's a loose style, so that's why. That's what I'm trying to say, sorry. So as you can see, I kind of ended up doing it all around here. So it's a little more than half that is thicker than the rest, and that's fine. At this point, you can add a little bit of extra, if you want to have some sort of darker orange happening, just to give it a little more detail. You can kind of add some in there, just a tad bit here and there, and just allow it to dry and swish around, or not. It's totally up to you. I decided to do that, so that's what it looks like right now. The next thing we're going to do is do the centers, and so for the centers, again, we will be going back and reverting to the number 8. Feel free to use number 4, the number 4, if you feel it's finer enough for you to get the segments. I'm just going to be adventurous and use the number 8, and let's see how this pans out for me. So we'll assume this is the center right here. I'm just going to add that in there, and then just lightly start by creating these organic loose shapes. And as I'm painting it in, what I want to do is leave white, like directionally it should go downwards or towards the center, however you're doing it. And I want to leave white space, as much white space in between as I can. And that's going to be indicative of a shine or light and shadow. And if you feel like it's too much color, just take a brush that has no water on it and just kind of brush it down. Brush the color off, and that gives you less color on there. As you're going around, or before you go around, if you want to go ahead and add some of the quinacridone rose, now's the time to do it. So I'm just going to use the number 4 and just add a couple of hints of color here and there, making sure I'm keeping that white space in between. And then we're going to go ahead and create more around as we go. So literally just leave the white space, create these little segments, roughly put in color, then go in with the quinacridone rose. And just add some strands here and there. Can even add it at the bottom. For a more jolt or darker contrast. I'm going to add more water to my number 8 because I want it to be lighter. There we go. And you can actually kind of go faster. By faster, I mean like just go, be quick, more quick about applying the color. And then we can have more of a fun time adding the pink. So we're not trying to be extremely correct in terms of how many segments there are going to be. We just want to have it looking colorful, sunny, summery, and fun. And as you're going along, if you want to add a blend of another orange to get another variation of this, absolutely do that. I'm just going to keep things simple for the sake of this tutorial. So more beginners can kind of feel comfortable doing this and not do that. But if you are aware of how to do that mixing, which is pretty much similar to how we're doing the pink in here, then absolutely go right ahead and do that. So now I'm going to add my pinks. So I'll just add some pinks to the center and kind of move it around directionally, guiding it a bit. I'm still using my number 4 for this. So I love the effect of how it just kind of blends in with this yellow and gives you like a nice coral with a hint of pink. And I think some areas, if they're a little more transparent, makes for a nicer look. So I'm just going to take my paper towel, which is extremely colorful right now, and just dab away at some of the color. And this just gives me that light dark, but with some texture in there. So feel free to do that, or you might want to hold off. It's entirely up to you and your preference. This is your painting. You can absolutely make that call. I just thought it would be nice, so I'm doing that. And we have a nice little light citrus slice here, and I can't wait to add this to our little cutout, so I think it would be quite interesting. I'm just touching up some areas here and there, and then we can move on. I say we now do a whole of the fruit, so that should be super simple. And what we're going to do is, again, we do a circle, and we're going to use a blend of the same colors that I just used. So back with my number 8, using my Gamboge by Daniel Smith. I have a little bit of the color on here. I'm just going to do a circle below. I'm pressing down and kind of going around just like this. So it's lighter at the top, more concentrated at the bottom. And then the next thing I'm going to do is take the silver black velvet in the 8 with just water on it. I'm going to add like a circle, like close up the circle by creating the other half on here. And I'm touching, leaving a little bit of white space, but also touching it at the same time to have some of it blend in. And now comes the fun part. I'm going to use the same brush, get some of my quinacridone rose. And I'm going to add it just like this here. In fact, I can go darker. And this is just exhilarating to me because I love these two colors together. I think they are fantastic and they work really well. And I'm just going to go back in with this yellow and kind of add in more detail so it can blend in some more. And you want to concentrate all your dark colors to the bottom or to the side. I'm just going to leave that as is and just kind of touch up a little more on this end here. And then while this is still damp, you want to take advantage of the dampness. We're going to go in with the number 4 and get some of the French ultramarine blue and the Hansa yellow, and we're going to mix it up to get a nice green. So I'm just mixing that up on the side. And we're getting this nice light green. And while this is still damp, well, I think it's kind of dried up already. I'm just going to do this is way too close to this, so we're probably going to have problems. You know what? Won't do the stem. We'll just do the leaf. There doesn't need to be a stem here. I'm just going to do the leaf by pressing down, going downward, and doing another one this way. And like I always say, concentrated color to the bottom or the edge. So I'm just going to take a tad bit more of the blue, add that to the edge, and then maybe even like swipe it down and then swipe it back up just so it blends nicer. And there we go. We have that. We have a leaf attached to this. And you can add another one if you wish. I'm just going to add a tad bit more of the blue into my green. And we can do one just so, like that. Pushing the color back down this way. Now, notice the mistake I made here. It's way too close to this. So keep that in mind as well as you are painting, if not for today, for future. So when we're cutting, I'm going to have a tight space to cut around, but you know, that's on me. It's not completely impossible, but you know, you want to try and make your life as easy as possible, right? So we got these two. You can absolutely go ahead and do another one of these to complement, but again, I'm trying to be mindful of how much space we're going to have on our card, so I don't want to overdo it. So next thing we're going to do is do some of the florals that can go with it, and we're going to keep it in the same family of these colors here. So you can either kind of pick up the pinks and pick some of the pink, like make it like pink florals, or you could do mix the pink and the orange and get like a corally color kind of to complement what's been happening there. I think, or you can do the blue. Actually, yes, you can sort of do some nice little blue florals, and that could work as well. So I'm gonna mix some of the quinacridone rose and the blue to get a purple, and let's just see what I come up with. Based on what I come up with, I might either like the purple or I might think it's too or I might not like it and then not end up using it. So let's just see. I'm just going to mix it on the side. While I'm mixing that really quickly, I'm just going to read the comments as well. Hi Pamela, welcome. Shweta, yes, this is a 140-pound paper that I'm using. Geraldine, thanks so much for sharing. So sorry to hear about all the smoke and whatnot that's happening there. Wishes, Southern California right now. Okay, yeah. Kathy, breathing is hard. Yeah, okay, so you guys are communicating about what's happening there. Sounds pretty bad, guys. Are you all from that area? Well, I feel like maybe I'm a little bit out of the loop because I don't watch the news as much. Yeah. Oh, the fire areas. Oh, wow. Okay. Sorry that's happening, but I'm glad that you're able to make it online and just, I mean, you're safe to begin with is the first thing. Okay, so mixing some of the quinacridone rose and taking some of the blue as well, and let me see what I get. I'm getting like an indigo color. But if I add more of the quinacridone rose, I'm getting a nice purple. So I've mixed it on the side just to show you what I'm getting. This is it right here. And I kind of like it. So let's roll with this, and it'll be a nice enough contrast with what's happening over here. So I think we'll just make these small little clusters of florals, flowers, kind of exactly like what I did earlier in the week, and maybe even right here, which was I think a few weeks ago. So using the purple that I've mixed up and using the number 4, I'm just going to start off by doing a couple of petals. So pressing down, going downward, and these petals are done exactly like how I've done these leaves. And I'm just tapering it at the edge here. Adding a little bit of water to my brush. I'm going to do the same motion. And adding a little bit of pink to the tip of my brush. And tapering down. And then again on this side, just be mindful to make sure that your sheet is dry. So you're starting with the tip and then pressing down and trailing off. And some of you might find that you need to rotate your sheet, and that's totally normal because obviously you can't get the same shape exactly bang on if you're like trying to do it in different angles. So I'm leaving a bit of white space in the center as well, as you can see. If you can achieve that, great. If not, it's not a big deal. But I like the little star indication in the center. So I'll do 2 more. And for this one, I'm adding a little bit more of the quinacridone rose. So it's going to be a tad different from this purple that we have. And again, doing it in the exact same motion. And because it's loose, I'm not giving it a lot of definition, just kind of relying on the paint to do its thing and the color to kind of also do its thing and make it look interesting. All right, so that's that. You can kind of go in the center and add a bit more of the purple if you wish, or just a darker color to kind of give it a darker center while it's still damp. And then once that's done, we'll do our third. Let's do the third floral over here, and we'll make it smaller. So the same motion, you're literally just painting leaves and you're having it go around. Try and touch the florals that you've already painted, especially if it's damp, so it gives you that nice blending effect. I'm just mixing some color on the side here. That's why I'm a little bit silent. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, there's a lot of white space in between. We're gonna let this dry a bit, but not before we add in a couple of leaves as well. So for the leaves, again, while you're planning this out, you need to keep in mind that it has to be easy for you to cut as well. So while I have quite a few of these detailed petals happening, let's just keep the leaves more standard with easier shapes to cut out. So I'm mixing my blue and the yellow on the side, and I'm going to go for a slightly darker green. So I'm mixing more of the blue with the green, with the yellow I mean. And I'm going to go start in this area first because it's damp, and it might be nice to have the blend of purple and the green. So there we go, there's one leaf. And then we'll do another one off to the side over here. And if you feel like the blend isn't very pretty, just take your paper towel and take it off. And you can save it that way. And depending on how much ratio with the yellow and the blue you mix, you might get a different variation of the green. And that's nice to have if you're adding the leaves, just to give it a little more of a two-dimensional feel. So I put a little extra blue, and this is what I got. So we have this area, and then let's just do one more over here and then end with the leaves. So we have 3 areas for the leaves, and then that's good enough. I'll make this leaf slightly bigger. Pushing all the color down. So there we go. So we've got some nice purple, some nice yellows, some nice pinks. I'll just do this one thing because it just looks like it's incomplete here. So I'm going to try and add some water and see if the color seeps in and kind of gives us that faded look. Just because it seemed like it was a little bit off, but I think it's okay now. Okay, so we have these, we've got some of these, and then I think we can just use some sprigs, some leaf sprigs, and then we are good to go. We can use it like a, yeah, we'll see when the time comes after we've cut. So for the leaf sprigs, again, we can use the lighter version of the green, or we can use a darker version. Or if you simply want to add another color, my suggestion would be adding like a Payne's gray or something like that, just to offset the bright colors that we have going. I'm going to stick with the color palette we're using, and I'm going to add more of the blue to get like a teal sort of green or blue in between. And I'm just going to create leaves that are longer and bigger, so then it's easier to cut. Or you could do eucalyptus. So I guess use what you feel would work in this manner or for your setting. Again, depends on what you've been painting. I just want to make sure I have everything done here. Okay. All right. So let's do the leaves around here. So I'm gonna do a sprig. So we have the florals, we have this kind of coming from the side, maybe this, okay. So I'm just gonna do a stem, and then from the stem we have longer leaves coming out, pushing all the color to the bottom. Same thing on this side. Give it direction. And I'm making it bigger deliberately so that it's easier to cut. Hopefully it fits on the card. Either use extra blue or more of the yellow to get a different variant for this next leaf. And just make sure you get a darker color to the tip of it. And I'm just adding more of that same blue at the top. So super easy, super simple, nothing complicated at all. And we'll just do another sprig. I like to do a little bit of extra stuff just in case we need, or we cannot use one, then we could use the other in placement. That's exactly what I did the first time around, which is why these are literally leftovers. So mixing some of the color on the side, and I'm going to create these onto this side here. Okay. So if this one was this way, let's do one that's kind of trying to give different directions to the leaves. Again, giving your florals or your greenery some direction, whether it's the leaves or the petals, kind of adds nice movement. So I like to always do that in my paintings. And the same thing would apply here, obviously. Again, rookie mistake, way too close to this floral, but that's okay.
because I also like how the white space when we cut these to place them isn't quite consistent, and it shouldn't be, because again, it's a very loose style. You want to keep it inconsistent. It's hand cut. It's like a custom piece that you're doing, whether it's a card you're doing or you're doing you're putting it together to go on a wall hanging sort of thing. So there we go. I'm going to leave these as is and allow this to dry a bit. I kind of really like this. What do you guys think about adding another one of these? Although I won't have any space on this, to be very honest. But what do you guys think? I'm just gonna give you a few seconds to comment, and I'll also be reading your comments, and this gives me time for this to dry as well. Oh, we have quite a few people in this area here. Okay, Karen. Karen says do a segment. Okay, let's do a segment again. Let's do a quarter of a segment, since we have a full, or sorry, not a quarter, a half. Wow, can't even talk right now. A half of a segment. So we'll do the same technique, getting some of the gamboge on my number 8. We will do a line or an arc. Let me just do it this way and make sure you can see. All right, so let's do it this way. And I'm kind of making it this size deliberately because I don't have a lot of space on the card, and I might not end up using all of these, but that's okay because I could probably get 2 cards out of these. Never know. So then, using my number 4 and with just water on it, I just want to add a little bit of, oops, seems like there's some color on my paintbrush. I just want to add some water to the edge, just to give it a little bit of thickness here and there, and smoothing it out as well. And then once I have that, we're gonna go ahead and, using the same brush, the same color, we're gonna leave a thin bit of white space on the inside and mimic another line that's the exact same shape, the arc. Going up there. And we want to concentrate all the color at the bottom here. So make sure you have a good amount of water on this as you're kind of painting this inner line, leaving a white space in between. And then with the other number 8, or even with you can take your mop brush as well, and just water on this brush. We are going to smoothen the color out and close off the top. And you see what happens? We have a nice, very smooth blend happening from the yellow tapering off to a white, or like a very lemony off-white at the top. I had some of the pink on this brush, so I'm seeing hints of pink in this as well, and it's really pretty. Using this brush again with the yellow, because watercolor always dries up lighter, just go back to the edge and add more of your new gamboge at the bottom, and this will essentially just have it blend with the dampness that you have going on already. So it's a pretty effect. Okay, and then you can take your number 4, where's my number 4? And with just water on it, you can just create some lines going to the center. And you're just giving it a little bit of texture and direction. And then just using the same thing, just go back, get some of the pink or the quinacridone rose and add it to the damp areas. Probably just add it in these areas here. And then maybe tapering it off to the top as well. You're just kind of, this is the whole wet on wet technique, and also layering or blending, sorry, not layering, because we're not waiting for this to dry off. And then finally, what I would do is take a blend of the quinacridone rose and the gamboge, and whatever color you get, just a slight, you know, it's slightly with slightly less water on your brush. It hasn't fully dried up as yet, but we want to make it look like segments as best as we can. So what's left to do is adding lines. So you can either wait for it to dry up some more, or just kind of very lightly add the color, just like I'm doing right now, just kind of dabbing at it to give it some direction, adding more to the bottom if you want it to be darker. And you see how it's dried up a lot lighter than what we had previously. So I'm actually just going to go in and add the rind, add a second coat of color to the rind that we have here, because that is just way too light. And then I'm just going to add some more of that yellow gamboge to the bottom here too. So just making it darker. So these are super easy, simple things. You can nitpick over the slight details like this, or you can just let it go and have it be loose and simple. It's entirely up to you. So we'll let this dry and then we will start cutting. But in the interest of time, I'm just gonna, what I'll do is, where's my scissors? Right here. I will let these dry and I'm just gonna cut these off right now. So while this is drying, I can fully cut this. And so for my cutting, because I know in my video this week, I kind of just did a time lapse, so you guys didn't get to see it. For cutting connoisseurs, I'm sure you have it down packed. For people who are actually wondering how that worked out for me, here it is in the live. You can see me cutting. So as you can see, I am trying to leave a little bit of white piping space around it, but I'm not being super anal about the spacing and whatnot. So as I get closer to this slice here, you'll see that I'm cutting very close to the yellow because there is no space. And then cutting up here. And I like the variation in white outline thickness that's happening with the watercolor, and somehow it kind of complements the whole, it complements the whole imperfections of how watercolor naturally is. And yeah, I'm kind of liking the effect that this has. So like I think I mentioned it in the video when I was doing it, this method almost seems like you going out there, picking out flowers, and then kind of coming back home and arranging it in your vase. Except this is, you're creating the flowers and elements cutting it out and then arranging it to form your own little painting or wall hanging or card even. And here we go, we have our little grapefruit orange kind of fruit first. Oh, I'm just reading comments. Thanks, Pauline. Glad you like it. Turning the paper rather than your wrist works better. Okay, I'm not sure I grasp the meaning of that, but I am going to... Yes, I think I understood what you're saying. Yes, I am doing that right now. Turning the paper as opposed to my wrist. You're right, it does. And my scissors are actually pretty... they're not loose, so it's not easy for me to kind of cut these sheets or these tiny little curves. But it's not bad because I like the end result and I'm willing to put the work in to get something pretty like that. So it's fine for me. Okay, so here's what happens when I just allow the paper to do its thing as opposed to my wrist. I'm getting a little bit too close to the edge and then I feel like I have less control. I think it's going to take some practice for me to kind of get it more like how I would if I was turning my wrist, right? Because I think unknowingly I've been doing that. Okay, this turned out super pretty. I really like it. I'm actually even thinking these would make some really great gift tags as well. You just take a hole punch, punch them at the top, and then you could letter or brush letter on the back even, or even on the actual element itself. So there's quite a few things you can do with things like this. And yeah, because gift tags are even like I never seem to have gift tags when it comes to birthday parties and such. Not that you actually need them. I think most people use it just for Christmas, but if you have something like that, especially if you've made it and then you kind of put your signature or your name or a wish, depending on how much space you have there, obviously, that works. Nice. Oh, see, now I'm struggling because I have not a lot of space here, and I'm going to cut it right there. But like I was saying while I was doing this, this was a rookie mistake. I touched the edge of the floral. It was way too close. So these are some of the things that you encounter, issues that you encounter that you need to keep in mind. Unless you actually do the exercise, you never really realize what issues can come up and what you need to be mindful of before you actually venture out into doing a project like this. And also, this is not a digital project. Usually when I work digitally, you can use your Command Z to kind of undo. That's a shortcut to go backward. But unfortunately, when you're actually painting live and doing this on something that's more tangible, there is no going backward. There's only going forward, and then the choice of you having to redo it all over again. But this is how you learn. So here's my cutouts that I have happening. And I think this is fairly dry. Yes. So I'm going to cut out the floral first. Yeah, I'm seeing Janet said that she's outlined her florals with a gold. Absolutely, that would, I'm sure that looks amazing. In fact, send me a picture on Instagram or Facebook, whatever, like DM, direct message me. I would love to see how that turned out. I actually have my silver, it's actually a chalk marker. Yeah, I have silver and then I have a white Sharpie. So I might use either one of them at the end. Let's see. I think the first time I did this, I used the silver to create some embellishments around the florals that I stuck on the card. And that turned out quite nice. Oh, and I did do the initial of the birthday girl on the big flower as well. If you guys, I don't know if you guys saw that on the post on Instagram. That's where you would find, yeah, an image of how it turned out. And again, I was just experimenting and trying something new. And while this is not really a new concept, a lot of you are doing it already. I just figured when you're actually practicing it along with a video or a live like this, for those who haven't done it, it makes it a lot more easier to comprehend what's involved. Now look at this area. There's a lot of detail in here. So what I'm going to do is just not go all the way down, but just kind of skip it and go around. And I did that for some of the other two florals that I did the cutouts for. And it actually looked really good. Like the white space is always bomb when it comes to little abstract pieces like this. I like giving the edges like a little bit of a rounded edge as opposed to sharp. But that's usually at the end right before I do stuff. So, or I might just leave it sharp at this point. Something new. Doesn't have to be the same way every single time. All right. So I'm going to try and rush this because I'm sure you guys don't want to sit here and watch me cut things out the whole time. And I cannot do a time lapse of this because obviously this is a live video, but we're almost done. I'll just cut this bit and then I'm going to cut the half an orange, and I think we can leave the other leaves. We don't really need it. And then we'll do the arrangement. And for those who have been doing it along with me today, again, I would love to see what you guys are doing or have done, and just send me an image or something. Either post it online or send it to me in direct message if you're not comfortable posting on social media. Totally get it. Or you can just email me as well. I just like to see what people come up with. And I especially love it when you guys send me stuff and you've tried something new, or you've taken an idea that I've shown you and you've kind of done something and gotten a different result. So it's really pretty. The evolution of ideas, right? Okay, so this we have, then I'm going to cut this one. And I think then we're good to go. We're on a roll here. Just going to roughly cut this out. And then get a little more of a close crop. Wow, I can feel my thumb like, yeah, I was holding it wrong. It's fine now. I think maybe if I continue doing this for more projects, I should invest in a better pair of scissors that aren't quite so tight feeling. Oh, I really like how this segment turned out. I'm loving the colors. Okay, so let me just get, I didn't prepare for this, but here is my sheet or my little packet of parts. I'm going to take out two because just in case if we have extra, we can just do another one. And if you're looking to get blank cards and envelopes like these, I would suggest checking out the last video and also this video once it goes live. I'm going to have the links for suggested links for purchase, which is Amazon USA and Canada. But a lot of you, if you just go to Michael's, you can kind of get these at Michael's as well. So yeah, so these are the envelopes. These are basic envelopes. They're pretty thin actually. And these are also pretty thin. The watercolor paper is a lot thicker. So it depends on how far you want to take this. So this folds this way. So before folding it, I'm going to do the placement. Moving this aside. Let's move all of this off the screen so it's less messy. And then let's just see how we can do this. This is the fun part, guys. Okay. So if we do an orange and we do some of the flowers, either like that, and then maybe you have this one coming like that. So this should have been smaller, I think. And then this should have been bigger. But you know what? It's subjective because this is a very loose style. It doesn't have to be realistic, bang on. Also, that could be a tiny orange, so there we go. What do we think about this? Yeah, I think this kind of looks good. We don't even have to add the extra tangerine, or we could, and it goes well. So then we don't need to do two, we can just do one. Yeah, I kind of like this. The colors are actually quite nice, and it goes very well. So the florals on the top, and then the tangerine, grapefruit type citrusy thing is behind. I could cut out the extra leaf and maybe add it in, but I think this is a good enough arrangement, and I think I will be sticking this on. Jill, I just noticed your comment. Dollar store generally has a pack of 10. You know what? All you people in the States, I am so envious of the prices you guys get. It's like highway robbery in Canada, my humble opinion. So I wish we could go to the dollar store and get something like this. As far as I know, I am not aware that you can get this at the dollar store for $1. So I'm just gonna glue this on, and then we can call it a day, guys. I know some of you have to leave. If you have to leave, please feel free to go. I know you have to spend time with family and stuff, and I have some of my family down today, so I just want to do this properly, and then we can call it a day. So putting this to the edge, just so we're monetizing on all the space that we have going on. And these florals can be this way. And then this one is going to go here. Yeah. Adding a little bit just in the center. The glue, I know some, I mentioned earlier, you can even use the 3D foam tape, I think it's called. So then it kind of bumps up. But I'm not using it over here, A, because I don't have it, and B, because the envelopes are really thin, and this might be a little bit too thick for it to fit in, so I'm leaving it as is. But I love the fact that it's kind of raised off the sheet. It's just such a pretty effect. And you see why, if you get one of those special frames, I think they're like shadow frames, because it gives you different, like a little bit of space between the glass and where you put your artwork, so it's not flat on the glass. this would work in one of those frames as well. Very pretty, right? Yeah.
Let me read your comments really quickly. Thanks, B, for showing up. Have a lovely Sunday. Thanks, Pamela. Yeah, it is pretty fun, which is why this is like the third time I'm doing it. Jill, oh, I believe you.
This is probably like, this quality that I have here is probably dollar store quality. Thanks, Lydia. Glad you guys enjoyed this. Now, last but not least, not to prolong our time together, but if you have either white, like a white thinner Sharpie or silver or gold, you can just kind of use it to add some more detail to this. And by detail, I mean, so for instance, I have this silver and it is good enough. So if I just add a little bit of detail in the center here, I don't know if it'll actually show up because it looks very light. But, oh yeah, it is showing up. I see it. Just a couple of lines, enhance it with some silver glittery stuff because who doesn't like glitter? I do. I like it. And this is not the kind of glitter that's going to fall all around and you're going to have to clean it later. So this is great. And you can even go as far as adding just a couple of dots on the actual orange itself. Now it's not translating well on video, I bet, but just pick the areas that are dark and then go ahead and add these little silver details. Maybe some on the actual leaf too. There we go. And I'm just going to lift this up so you can see it. So it's going to dry and hopefully it'll look more, I guess, glittery, but you can kind of see it on the flower, right? Like there's that glitter. Some of you might have paints, so absolutely use the paints as well. Just a couple of ideas. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for sticking it through. And I wish you a lovely, lovely Sunday. Please feel free to share this video on your social media circles. It really helps my channel grow. I'm so close to 10,000. I'm super stoked. Yeah, please do like the video if you do like it. Send me your work on social media. I love seeing your work. I love chatting with you guys. So thank you so much for your friendship and your messages. And yeah, we'll chat soon, guys. Have a lovely day. Bye.